You have to earn how many you can get on that pallet. Every department's different. They do have sell-through metrics that guides what a successful program is. You need to clear the floor. I mean, Costco is all about, you get a pallet on the floor, how quick is it gone?
Hey, this is Packaging Unboxed, where we talk about packaging all day, every day. My name is Ilya Matos. I've been doing packaging for the last 15 years, working with brands in fashion retail, cosmetics, high tech, and pretty much everything at this point. I love sharing everything. And today we're talking to the Costco guys. We're going to talk about the secrets to packaging success at Costco. We're going to unlock the hidden world of Costco packaging, the strategies, the secrets, and the design principles that can make or break the brand's shot at landing the coveted spot on the warehouse floor. Everything you think you know about packaging, just take that, put that on a shelf, because it doesn't apply at Costco. Costco is not about brand, it's about product. That takes a little bit to get used to, but in this episode, Michael Carrier and Joe Berger kind of dig into and explain what that even means. Now, what you're going to learn is how to design for Costco, how it's completely different from any other retailer, how to navigate the 5-second, 5-foot rule to grab a customer's attention, and the critical role of pallet design and how it impacts your sell-through rate. You're designing packaging, but you have to really think about it as a pallet, the whole unit. The whole unit is there to sell product. It's not the individual pack. So it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to think about. These guys do a great job of explaining it and breaking it down. You can also go visit these guys at clubstorepackaging.com to learn more. They've got a glossary that includes all the terms we discussed in this video, and we share those definitions in the video as we talk through, because some of these terms are actually new to me as well. Make sure you stick around to the end, because we're saving the most valuable insight for last. It's the biggest missed opportunities in Costco packaging that can transform your approach and help you create designs that aren't just visually compelling, but also operationally efficient. Efficiency is key here. Don't miss this packed episode, because it can be the difference between making it big or blowing your one shot at Costco.
A couple weeks back, I don't remember, maybe it was a month ago or so, I put a post on this website, linkedin.com, showing two different club store trays and pack outs. And one was for a product called Robert Irvin Fit Crunch, and it was right next on a pallet in a Costco to Built Bar. And I ran a life cycle analysis using Compass by Triac, or Triac. I don't always remember how to say their name, but we'll go with Triac. So I measured it all out. I laid it all out. I did some measurements. I told them what their impact was. I kind of calculated how many bars were on there. And I thought, wow, this tray by Fit Crunch seems to be a lot better than the one by Built Bar in terms of the amount of product per pallet and the LCA and all this stuff. So I shared this on LinkedIn, and Mike, AKA Michael, was like, hey, remember I was on your podcast that one time? I was like, yeah, that was awesome. He's like, this is actually what I do. And you kind of jumped in, and some other people jumped in to say, it's not as cut and dry as you think with Costco, meaning Built Bar may be doing this intentionally, maybe even with the people at Costco, to design their tray this way, because how packaging can be utilized to hit metrics within the club store. And these are things that I don't think brands know about. Certainly regular people don't know about. And even, packaging nerds like myself are unaware of the nuances of club store packaging.
Costco is just such a different retail animal, right? It is not Walmart. It is not Target. What gets designed and packed and manufactured and shipped, when that leaves whoever's dock, it gets unwrapped on Costco's floor, right? No one's stocking shelves. And, when you looked at that, the Built Bar versus the Fit Crunch, Costco is more of a journey for brands. You go through test programs. You have to earn your spot on the Costco floor a lot more than, getting two facings on a retail shelf at a Sprouts, right? You have to earn how many you can get on that pallet. And every department's different. They do have sell-through metrics that guides what a successful program is. You need to clear the floor. I mean, Costco is all about, you get a pallet on the floor, how quick is it gone? Like, they want to see sell-through. It's a treasure hunt when you walk in these stores. I mean, we all know where the rotisserie chicken is. Abelio, you said you went to Costco today. Do you remember where the rotisserie chicken was in the store you were at?
100% in the back. In the back right, next to the bread.
Right in the back. The very, very, very far back, right? So they want, it's treasure hunt all day. You go in there for 3 things and you walk out with 25. And that is the Costco formula. Fit Crunch is, and I would assume, they are a more known brand than Built Bar. Looking at those differences in quantities, I think Fit Crunch was, what was it? Like 500 packs per pallet. Built Bar was a fraction of that. But that was part of that journey as they earned the right to get more on a pallet and earned the right to see that sell through and know that those pallets are going to turn. Initial programs, start programs, we're usually starting a lot smaller from a units per pallet than anything you'd get on as close to Costco would call an everyday item.
So the point of the episode here is I want to make sure that if you're listening and you're trying to get into Costco, you understand what you're even getting into. If you're a designer and you're working with a brand that's getting into Costco, that you understand what you are getting into, right? Because there's so many limitations. So as a brand, just to get into Costco, it's not like you get a pallet. You get a fixed number of items per pallet. Like, help me understand a little bit more because I'm not super clear on that.
Yeah, you are getting one item. You're not getting multiple items per pallet ever, right? So that pallet has one SKU. It's often a somewhat of a differentiator from what you see in other retail, right? You're not selling the exact same thing as you'd sell at a Walmart or a Target. And you're starting usually fairly low, kind of as low as you can justify from a P&L calculation. And you're limiting that pallet quantity and kind of to the structural and packaging differentiator between built and fit. You have to cube this pallet out. You have to get this thing to with 0 overhang, within an inch or 2 of underhang. And that often drives, when you're taking something new, you're getting stacking shoulders and fillers that is eating up some of that space. And that's what we saw with Built Bar. They had those like stacking shoulders on the side because their packaging, there's spend to come up and have to get that to fit within that cube. You're kind of designing 2 ways with Costco. You got to fit the pallet and then outside in and then inside out with unit cartons.
Okay. So then just to be clear, your pallet is this big, right? You've got set dimensions on pallets, or do they even do half pallets?
No, it's a full pallet every time.
48 by 40s.
Okay. So full pallet, I may get the okay to do, if we're talking about energy bars, I might get the okay to get 10,000 bars on this pallet. My bars are this big. If I just stack 10,000 bars on this pallet, it's a quarter of the height of what I'm supposed to do. So now the rest of that, I'm filling it up with packaging, spacing, in order to get 10,000 bars on that pallet to get into Costco. Is that right? Versus a brand that's already established and they can get 100,000 bars on the same space or 20,000 bars on the same space.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. Like, you're thinking about, it's basically everyone's working within the same cube dimension regardless of quantity per pallet. Wow. And so, like Mike was saying, with a lot of the people with the newer entries into Costco, they're going to limit the number of units per pallet. And that's when you're seeing more things that we do to try to creatively fill out that space to still make it the most efficient shipping system through, even though you could technically get much more onto those pallets. And health and beauty is where you see it more than anything else, because you see so many of the big cards and everything where you could fit 10,000 little jars of eye cream onto a pallet if you had to, but then it would sit there for so long. And Costco's all about turn and burn. So
can I ask you a question on that? Because I'd be curious. I'm sure there's metrics around why they have those decisions. Costco is a profitable business. Clearly, they're doing a great job. I've spent a lot of money there over the years. But what drives that if there's 10,000 versus 2,000 on a pallet? It seems counterintuitive to me that, like, oh no, we need more people to be turning this. Workers in the club store, right? Like, they have more work that they have to do to turn these pallets instead of the pallet being there. Is there some sort of like psychological reason why they want that? Because to me, it seems counterintuitive to me.
Well, I think the main thing is they don't want the same pallet sitting on the floor for too long. Like it's all about the treasure hunt, like Mike was saying earlier. They want the different SKUs going in and out, and you have to have a chance to prove yourself to know that, yeah, we get 240 units per pallet. That's going to turn so fast to know that it's going to sell through. They don't want anything to be stale and sitting there and not seeing the movement to where you're going to Costco a few weeks apart and the pallet's in the same space and it's the same amount. I think that's one of the more basic answers.
Yeah, I'd say it's also from a P&L standpoint, right? If you've got 9,000 on a pallet and it doesn't sell through, it's a lot easier to write that off versus if you've packed it out with 100,000, and it didn't sell through, right? Like they only have a 15% margin on the product. That's kind of like their
yes.
There's not a lot of room for that.
There isn't in these programs, like from a brand perspective, they are built with end dates in mind. So as you start approaching that end date, you are seeing TPDs, temporary price discounts built in. You are seeing your cost get slashed as they're trying to clear the floor to approach that end date. Some programs are written, what is left, you get back. Like that's it.
Wow.
It's yours. And though that can be detrimental from a P&L standpoint for a brand, you have got to sell through in Costco. If you put 10,000, it's not that it's just going to sit there and, slowly dwindle away. These are in and out programs. There are very, very few everyday items in Costco. When you set up a program, you have an end date and your price is going to get degraded all the way through to guarantee that thing sells by that end.
Is there, so we mentioned kind of before the call that you guys do a lot of, I don't know, is it ratings or something like it, or just kind of product reviews, I guess, in Costco? What are maybe some examples of some really cool current brands that are doing a good job in Costco? One that I saw a while ago was, and this has been going on for a while, but was when Apple's transitioned into the full corrugated trays. They're just apples in paper instead of wrapped in plastic. I was like, that was a pretty cool innovation that I noticed. So I mean, anything that you've seen, I don't know, one or two would be awesome that people could go and check out.
I think an overall trend that you're seeing more and more, particularly on the health and beauty side, is the plastic-free options. The plastic-free options, be it a trap card or what we call the fifth panel carton solution. And you're seeing more and more brands drifting into that. I know we did one not too long ago for the organic skincare company that had a really nice plastic-free option to where you're still getting your die cuts in the card to show through the product, but there's no plastic. There's usually some mechanism in the back, be it an SBS insert or something that you're trapping into the card versus having the blister coming out the front showing it. And so you're still getting the effect of showing your product, making it the star, but you're not having that plastic. And it's been interesting to see the different brands kind of achieve that in different ways. And that's something that we've been doing a lot of ourselves and trying to find different ways to innovate that to show off the product without the plastic.
Yeah, I'd say one that stands out to me is Monday Hair Care, which their shampoo bottles went from being like just, they launched with a square bottom, like a rectangular bottom. It's a rectangle bottle with like rounded corners and then like a really low profile for the pump. It worked great at retail, but when it moved into Costco, it was like even more perfect because now they put two of those side by side, like a shampoo conditioner, and they just wrap it in corrugate with a big window in the front that has like the round corners. And you can load up 1 million of those on a pallet. And it still has like the display capability of the brand that you see in Target or Walmart or anywhere else. And from my understanding, that stuff is selling like crazy there.
Yeah, they've been there for probably 2 years, getting probably 2 rotations a year, seeing the evolution of Monday. And yeah, they've done a really great job. I love the rounded corners. They do have a really great cube that, shampoo and conditioner, that falls into one of those items that does generally get more per pallet than a lot of other items. Like Joe was mentioning, the plastic free. I think EOS has been doing a really great job getting out new innovative plastic free designs into that trap card style. And the other, Joe mentioned it quickly, we call it the fifth panel box. Costco kind of uneloquently named it the paper card box. But Sunbum has done a really good job. They were always in plastic blisters for years and years and years. And now they have a very beautiful, compelling fifth panel box that really hits all the branding metrics. You get 3 wide per tray, so you have a really, really strong presence. And using that tray, I think the best brands, Joe, we often say product over brand in a lot of ways at Costco. If you think there's 120,000 SKUs in Walmart, there's only 4,000 in Costco. And with it, that treasure hunt, and we often call it the 5x5 rule. I think we talked a lot about that, Adam, in our last podcast. 5 feet, what it is, what it is, and why the member wants it. Were the value statements on that tray? It's not as much Strivectin. It's number one selling eye cream. And when you're in a treasure hunt environment, that's what grabs people's eyes more than just brand.
Tell everybody what the 5x5 rule is in Costco.
So 5 seconds and 5 feet, what your product is and why the member wants it. Meaning what is that value statement that you are compelling that member as they're, beelining to the rotisserie chicken to stop and say, I need that. And that goes into the thought process on many of the things that we do and recommend, whether it's, big, bold colors and color blocking. Costco's getting really big into clinicals and screaming those logos that catch people's eyes, whether it's gluten-free or organic. And you have this luxury in Costco that you don't in many other retailers where, everything's loaded in a tray, and those trays your shipping vehicle. That's what makes your pallet, but it's also your store shelf. And so you have a lot more opportunity to really convey what everyone knows. Costco puts good quality products on the floor. Why am I worth looking at on the floor and buy?
Value statements are such a big deal, like Mike was talking about, and you see more and more where they're backed up by evidence. So you have the clinical trials, or you have the nice before and after images for a skincare product or something, to where it's not only what you're presenting as the value, but here's an evidence claim, whether it's just the logo about gluten-free or whatever it may be. But you see a lot more of that, to where it's an opportunity to present your value as well.
So just going back to you saying that Costco is product over brand, besides the clinical and that information, how does that visually translate to packaging?
Well, I think it can be something just as simple as, the brand is Dionis, but what they're selling is goat milk based hand cream. And so it's not Dionis written all over the tray lip. You have goat milk hand cream. And so they know what they're doing to pull them in, versus just having it branded with Dionis all over the side of it. It's really emphasizing the product itself and then the value of that product. This is a 5-pack. This is all natural, and this is what you're getting, but it's produced by Dionis. And that's just kind of opposite of what you see in a lot of retail spaces.
Yeah. And it seems like as a designer, right, if I'm going to Sephora to get hand cream, I'm going into a space that is strictly beauty and cosmetics. So I'm going to take the time to go through. I'm looking for brands that are trusted, that I've seen somewhere. If I'm going to Costco, you're in there for an hour, right? You're getting ham, you're getting socks, you're getting, whatever. And then hand cream. So I need to be sold on the product quickly, because I'm not necessarily going there for the hand cream. So from a design standpoint, it's almost backwards. Right? That's why the product over brand was just such a good key point to think of when you're doing a big box store.
And there isn't 25 different hand creams. You're getting 1 or 2. You'd be lucky to see 3 during the holidays. So it's not which hand cream do I want. It's, there's hand cream. And I already trust the brands that are in Costco. I think is one luxury Costco does have, and why brands want to be there, because people trust what makes it to the floor. So it's not you're finding things different to buy, because again, you're walking out with way more than you ever came anticipating to spend, and that's so much of their magic.
Are there any startup brands that launch in Costco, or does that just not happen? Like, you need a proven track record.
That generally doesn't happen. Yeah, and I have heard, and I will get these metrics wrong, but Costco does not allow their sales to be more than 30% of your overall sales. Because they have had times where they get brands, they kill it in Costco. No one, unless you're Colgate, no one is really in Costco forever. They want new and fresh and next. And I've heard a long time ago it was detrimental when the Costco business gets pulled out of brand A, they're in real trouble. So I don't know the exact numbers, but I know there is you have to have sales at this threshold, because we're not going to disrupt your business when inevitably it will go away.
Okay.
So let me ask a question. If I'm just grabbing this because I was working on a project with these guys. So, and they're in Target right now. So if I'm Bim Bamboo, which is a bamboo toilet paper, I don't think they're in Costco, right? But I'm an established brand. I'm in retail. And I'm gonna try to get into Costco. Does Costco have resources for understanding this packaging? Like, does Costco help them know sort of what to do on a pallet and stuff like that? Or is it like you have to go find people, maybe like yourselves or others, who know what that is and be the experts? Like, do they provide much help at all to a brand like, I'm just grabbing it because it was right here, but
right.
This would be an awesome product in Costco, right? So I'm like, what would happen if they were to approach Costco? Are they going to work on contracts and programs and plans? And it's like, good luck, you got to go figure out the packaging, or do they help guide a little bit?
Costco does not tell people what to do. And if you pulled up the latest Costco guide, it becomes very apparent very quickly that they're not going to tell you what to do. Walmart's guide is 260 plus pages. I think Costco's is, you're barely pushing 35. They give you frameworks of the key. It's not separated by department. Every department is different. It's a land of exceptions. The broker community, product broker community, which we work with a lot, is a huge knowledge base, but they are relying on vendors to come to them with the right solution. They have a big hand in, and I know we come to health and beauty a lot. They do know their departments best. They do help with what statements need to be on there. And the buyers are super knowledgeable when you get to that point. But a new brand like that coming in, you really want to get to that table in those first meetings where they're not focused on all the check boxes that are needed for a pallet display. And working with someone who knows all the nuances of all these different departments, whether it's deli or frozen or electronics, it is a very different packaging formula in all of them.
Sorry, so they're not telling you that for that particular product, it needs to be this number per case, per pallet, and then if there needs to be an insert, or is there like an outer sleeve to the whole pallet, like tear away, fully display? It's just these are the basic parameters. And then as a brand, you have to figure it out.
You figure it out to a point. Most of the brands we work with, they're going into those first meetings with what makes sense for them, meaning for their P&L at only 15%, we better have X amount per pallet. And what does mathematically make sense? Because you are stuck in this very tight cube. I have seen things, more often go down when the buyer gets their hands on it, because the buyers are frankly in competition with each other as well to find good products and show sell through. Usually quantity per pallet goes down after initial pitch, and when people really kind of make it to those second and third steps. But that all happens usually after pitch. After that, buyer has really been like, okay, I'd love this. I want to see this happen. But it is important to kind of come to the table. And the broker community that we work with, they always want to come with, full color renderings. What does this going to exactly look like? Really get that buyer to be like, okay, you guys at least had the details figure out. Let's talk about the product.
That was the exact thing I was going to ask, was exactly what you said. So we are connected.
We are
like twins who were separated at birth.
I mean,
we look identical. It's hard to tell.
I was just going to say, you guys look so much alike. I almost would have thought the same thing.
Man, it's so funny because I think back to the very first Costco packaging I designed. I was an idiot. I didn't know anything. It was for a company that did like collapsible suitcases. And like, we have to have this many on a pallet. So we calculated, all right, pallets this big. Here's how we can organize it. I'm like, man, I got plenty of room. And then, the pallet's like a rectangle. I took a corner off and I'm like, we can angle a display and have like a full size suitcase. Like, have like a display where like the suitcase is flat and then have like a full one in the corner. And it looked amazing. I was super pumped. Get to Costco and they're like, no. Like, what if we put this next to another pallet? Or it's like behind, like you're not going to see that and you're wasting space. And then kind of went through like the whole thing. But through the process, there was no feedback. And it ended up being, we have the square, we've got the cube. How do we create that display on the actual, cartons and everything else to tell a bigger story? But no, it's funny because like as a designer, you don't really know. Like there's so many ways that apply to retail that do not apply to Costco. And for a brand, that can kill you, right? If you get shitty packaging at Costco, it's a ton of money that you're wasting.
A ton of money, or, you get one chance at Costco. So getting it right is super important. And if you're coming to the table, this very precious opportunity with these buyers that hold the cards, coming to that table with something that is so in left field that doesn't show, that isn't a very great first impression. So we're often helping, through renderings and it's, each department is a different story. Frozen is a completely different mindset than deli. And electronics is completely different than health and beauty. They have just a very different style and very different thought on how to do things. But some stuff holds true. You want a 3-side shoppable pallet. Yeah.
Okay. You guys know all these terms. Before I show you this, what is a 3-side shoppable pallet?
So, it's really just like it sounds. Like, you need to be able to shop it off of 3 sides. So like everything that we design shoppable off the 48 and the both 40 sides, just to give the flexibility in store where they want to put it, if they want to put it under a rack, if it's going to be an end cap, to where you have that ability to shop at 3 sides. But like Mike said, like we do this so much, we have so much experience with this, that's something that when we have those initial conversations with the customer and we're putting together layouts, like we always configure it to be 3-side shoppable. So even if they don't know, like we know.
All right. So 3-side shoppable means I can shop it from 3 sides, like you said. So I need access to the individual product that I'm pulling off the shelf, that I'm pulling off the pallet on all 3 sides, right? Because you don't know which configuration they're going to put it in.
Mm-hmm. With no chimney in the middle.
I think there's probably some people who are in Costco that could use help with this particular instance, because I'm thinking about some things where it's like the stack, they probably had like a tops diagram, they've stacked it up and it's kind of unique and different and spun around. But you look at some of the ways in which their trays, like the art's lined up on the trays, and I think it would probably fail your 5x5 rule for one, and for two, it doesn't feel 3-side shoppable because it's hard to get access to some of the products. So if Costco's not really helping them in that, because it still ends up in the store, and then what happened is the sell-through isn't much, and then the brand is responsible, and it was like, hey, better luck next time. Is that sort of the consequence for it? Or, well, yeah,
there is
better luck in your next job.
Right.
when you
Right.
try to get back into Costco.
And I wish there was a TOPS program that would help with Costco. But we're laying things out like Tetris, because if you can't be less than 46 by 37. I mean, like, you are there's zero overhang, there's very little underhang. You want it 3-side shoppable, and again, you can't have a chimney, so you can't pinwheel trays around a pallet with a big empty space in the middle. And so once you get through those few requirements, you end up like Built Bar that has a stacking shoulder. Like, that is inevitably what often happens, unless you're Fit Crunch, who has went through their test program. They've earned that spot. My guess is that unit carton was specifically designed for Costco. Like,
Got it.
They engineered outside in and inside out to be designed for all of these requirements. Where someone new, you're kind of taking your retail, maybe you're taking 2 retail boxes and overboxing it, and to design something specific. I mean, you guys know, and for a test program, you're already stretching yourself on your P&L to even get in there. And that goes back to that opening statement. Like, it is kind of a journey. What you start with is the best solution for where you start is not usually the same solution when you finish.
So often in packaging, like, you're talking about right sizing everything. And so you're sizing it from the inside out to be as efficient as possible. Whereas Costco, we really are always looking at the OD of the trays that we know are going to cube out the pallet right, and balancing that. Like, so a lot of times you're going from the outside in, like, to design, depending on how much freedom you have on the inner pack, to know, okay, well, it's got to cube out this tray OD. And so a lot of times you're working somewhat backwards.
Okay. And are you working with like a set number of standard trays in mind already, because you know that they're going to fit on this pallet a certain way? So it's like you're really starting there, not with the pallet, because the pallet's a pallet.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So we're understanding what the inner pack is going to be, whether or not we're taking primary and we're developing, the 2-pack, or if they have an existing 2-pack, and then we're looking at the OD of our tray and we're seeing how that works together, whether or not we need to expand shoulders. We've had some programs where we'll do like one, what we call the heavy shoulder, where it comes over and it might be 7 inches wide. We've got 2 inches over here that creates kind of its own graphic panel that's integrated with the tray, but it still has the same OD that we want it to be in.
Joe, I just want to say thank you for bringing Tupac and ODB into the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm very excited that we've reached the point of the podcast episode where we're talking about unfortunately deceased rappers. So,
that's why I'm here.
Success.
It's all rappers, right? So rappers go back to packaging.
Yeah, wrapping and packaging is all connected. So, Tupac and ODB, pour one out.
So I picked this up at Costco. These are chips made out of chicken skin. I've never had them, but I've seen them at Costco nonstop. So if I come to you and I'm wild about wild, right? So if I'm this brand and I go, we got a chance to get into Costco, what's the first thing that you guys do?
We're starting with layout to check all those boxes. I think Wild is in a full layer tray, which is a whole nother unique animal within Costco.
What is a layer tray?
Chips are often where you have a big 40 by 48 tray and a bracing stacking system for the next layer tray. And so you're filling it in by layer instead of individual stacking trays on that pallet.
So it'd be like a slip sheet on.
No, it's they're full roll end, roll side trays.
Okay.
Because you can't place weight on that bag of chips, right? So it is a full system to get through Costco's cross stock. It would ship with and without product, right? Because those chips would smash in the cross stock if someone put a pallet of bleach on top of them. So, you also have to think of their entire shipping system. But, Wild wants to know, and then we talked about all day, like, how many are going to fit? What are we looking at here? Mm-hmm. So our first job is to give them a layout that we know is going to work. and help them formulate, okay, we're getting 330 bags on this pallet. What is that going to cost per unit?
And then from a graphic standpoint on something like this, because it has those trays, there's not a lot of space for design, right? Because you've got chips all the way to the bottom of the pallet, to the pallet surface.
Essentially, yeah, you're right. All you really have is that lip of the tray going around the 4840 side. So the layer tray stuff, like with chips, like you don't see a lot of opportunity for extra marketing on the packaging itself.
But Wild did a good job, and they have a very expensive pallet where there's corner cubes to stack each layer on. They actually litho-laminated their entire tray and all their corners because they really needed to convey, why are they different? What are they to the member that might not know them? I mean, it's a chicken skin chip. So they spent a ton of money, and I think rightfully so for what their brand is. I would imagine in 4 or 5 years, if their sell-through is great, people know who they are, people are coming to the store to buy them, the first thing gone is this very expensive litho-laminated layer tray system, because it's one of the few you see in Costco that is designed that way. But smart decision as test programs to really communicate that.
So a good point. If you're a brand that you're getting in here and you've got a lot to communicate, spend more, right? Basically, at the end of the day, it's like better packaging to do that. And then as you get the sell through and you're able to move more product, then you can back off. Like now you're already known.
Yeah, Doritos is definitely not in a.
I have one final question that I have, and then it's very important. It's what everyone wants to know. Is the sample program? Is there some sort of calendar? Because I've definitely replaced mealtime with sample walkthroughs at Costco. But I'd like to maybe know if is that going to be on the blog? Like, hey, next week regionally in Costco, specifically in Salt Lake City area, I think I'd really like to know what's being sampled so I can plan my mealtime. Is that anything that's available for the general public, or maybe not?
I think maybe not, but I think that's a really good idea there, Adam. That could certainly drive some traffic. I know they do plan out their road shows, but I've not seen who's going to be sampling the latest beef jerky.
The good news is if you don't hit the sampling just right, you can just always wander over to the food court and drop like 5 cents and get a hot dog and a drink. So you're always fine. It's just if you want to save that $1.50 and get your steps in, it's a great time when they're sampling. That was my last question, Velio. Do you have any final questions for the Costco packaging guys?
As a brand, can you opt to be sampled? So if I'm Wild, can I say I want to be in the sample program, or is that just Costco randomly picking?
That is part of their whole buy dock and structure. When they come to the floor, those things, in my understanding, cost money. Like if you want to be on an end cap, you're spending $1,000 per pallet per week. You have to buy in to have the opportunity, and those opportunities drive sell through. So it is part of the negotiation. Why it is a good idea to work through the broker community, because they know all these nuances instead of trying to like strong arm it all yourself. But that is, you have to purchase that opportunity to spend money to sample.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing a lot more Costco online stuff. How does that impact packaging? Are you guys feeling that? Like where maybe some of this product isn't being packed out for Costco and it's just online only?
I'm actually going to say no. I mean, sometimes we have had programs that are for e-com. We're building full feature pallet displays just as if it was going inline. That goes to their online side of the depot, and they're pick and packing right off the same style display that is in store. Costco does like the opportunity where if you get something e-commerce, you could bring it back to the store. It's like for like packaging as much as possible. And then they can restock shelves with that same item. So the e-com that we have dealt with has been ordered, packed, designed exactly the same. as inline.
I totally lied, you guys. I feel so bad. It's one of the Big Ten, but I did have another question. Do you think, or have you heard of the RFID integrated packaging making its way into Costco? I've heard rumblings of Sam's Club because of their connection to Walmart, obviously. But I'd be curious if they would start to lean into that. Maybe you haven't heard anything about it, but it seems like a natural area where I think RFID could potentially have a big play. But final question. That's my final question.
Yeah. No,
I swear.
I think it will have a big impact. Costco is just rolling out EDI requirements, ASN requirements. Walmart did that years and years and years ago. Walmart is a little ahead of the curve on some of that. But we have not heard anything with regards to RFID.
So one last question on my end is, it's just Michael and Joe. You've got an opportunity to put a product into Costco. What's the one space that people are not looking at that can definitely grow from innovative packaging in Costco? Like, where's the one place you're like, we're going here, we're designing this, here's how we're doing it, and we're gonna make a mint?
I mean, I think that I kind of touched on it briefly earlier, but the plastic-free trend is only going to increase. And so we've been really working hard to do what we can to come up with innovative designs that are also, manufacturable efficiently. Like a lot of the plastic-free options that we're seeing out there, like they're really cool, but they can be very labor-intensive to put together. And so one of our primary focuses has been how we can find ways to automate the assembly for things like the fifth panel box, like we mentioned, the Sunbum style box, or even the plastic-free trap cards, where we can still utilize some of the same like heat seal equipment that we would use on a traditional blister, but get that plastic-free effect. And I feel like we've been getting more and more requests for that. And so that's what I see as kind of one of the big waves of the not so distant future.
Health and beauty is the fastest. Well, health and beauty and deli, which is the non-frozen food, are for sure the fastest growing sections of Costco. So to your question, if you're a brand and you're thinking Costco, those are for sure the top departments to be thinking about.
Cool. So deli, plastic free, 3-side shoppable, 5-panel box. Like, these are all terms that you're gonna have to go online and research. And what's the website we need to go to?
Clubstorepackaging.com. You can learn all about it. That's all it is. It's a wealth of knowledge. You can check out some reviews of who we think are the best of the best every week, every month, always from a positive perspective, and showcasing the crazy world of Costco packaging.
Amazing, guys. Thanks for being on. Joe, it's good to meet you. Michael, it's good to meet you. I know you guys know Adam. I've never met you guys. I'm going to try one of these chicken skin chips. I've never had one of these.
Is it a soft touch on the outside? Like it feels like chicken skin, or the?
No, it's not soft touch, but it's definitely matte.
Which they really missed out on that. Give a
but
good
nowhere
solid
on here
chicken
does
skin feel.
Like, they just redesigned this pack in the last 6-7 months. Top half does not say chicken. Buffalo style, nope, no chicken. Real ingredients, no chicken. The only thing it says, like, chicken breast is right here. And which before it led with chicken.
We're waiting, Avelio.
Yeah. Come on. What is it?
No.
Is it good?
I don't think I'll eat another one. But it might just be the
then they should have been
flavor.
sampling. Or maybe they shouldn't be sampling.
Maybe they shouldn't be sampling.
But how much protein is in each one? Is it like 87 grams of protein per chip?
There's 10 grams of protein per serving. And each serving is 42 chips.
Ooh.
Each
That's a big
serving is
serving.
42.
You got-
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's 20 chips.
20 chips, you get 10 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I gotta be filling that thing with Orgain powder,
right?
and some PV
Just
fit,
sprinkle it on top.
just dipping it in.